Hey guys, it's Emily. I just finished filming this super delicious and rich, wonderful, dramatic, dark eye makeup look for you. I did the whole face, but I mean really the focus is definitely on the eyes, and you can probably guess what I used. I used the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette. This just came out, I don't know, a week ago or so. I had my mom order it for me while I was at work, and so it got delivered to my parents' house on Thursday night, and my mom drove all the way up to my apartment to special deliver this baby to me, and I love it so incredibly much. I am so excited about this palette. I am gonna give you my first impression of it right now before we jump into the tutorial. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick disclaimer. I love Jaclyn so much, and I buy all of her collaborations knowing that I'm going to love them. So I knew I was going to love this palette before I received it. I just knew it because it has Jaclyn's name on it, and I pretty much love everything that she does. I know, that's ridiculous, but I do. So first things first, I think the packaging is very simple, it's very pretty, it's very Jaclyn. It has like sort of an opalescent cardboard cover to it, and then on the back it says Morphe and Jaclyn. I saw some other people talking about it like, oh, it's gonna get dirty so fast, and yeah, it gets dirty really fast. It's white cardboard and you're using makeup and you've got dirty hands and dirty brushes, whatever. But I just use a makeup wipe to wipe it down and it stays nice and pearly white. So to me, that doesn't really matter so much. So when you open the palette, there is a little message from Jaclyn saying, this palette is dedicated to all of my loving subscribers. So that's really cute. I like that. You know, obviously this palette doesn't have a mirror, and that's okay. Like, no Morphe palettes have mirrors, and I think they're able to make the product cheaper because of that aspect, and I have so many products with mirrors, so I'm okay with that. One thing I have to say about this palette is, especially with the metallic shades, they have so much depth and dimension to each individual shadow. You don't really see that in pictures or videos, reviews, swatches, or anything, but when you're looking at it actually up close, I'm realizing how unique all of these shadows are, so I really appreciate that. I know that they are like that for a reason, and that it took forever to formulate these colors, so they are absolutely stunning and very unique in my opinion. I love that she included some awesome pops of color right here. I think a lot of palettes lack that, and it's cool that you can sort of throw this in your bag and know that you're good to go to create fun looks, colorful looks, mauve looks, neutral looks, natural looks, deep looks, smoky looks. You know, you are not limited at all with this palette, and you pretty much have everything you need right here in one spot. To create the eye look that I'm wearing right now, I jumped all around the palette and used a ton of different colors, different textures, and I really love how it turned out. One thing that I can say for sure is that this is not going to be the last tutorial you'll see of me using this palette. It is so beautiful, and I cannot wait to play with all of the colors and create some really fun and different, unique looks. All right, I think you guys can tell that I love this palette, so let's just jump into this tutorial.
I'm going to start off by spritzing my skin with a little bit of MAC Fix Plus. This is in the coconut scent. And then I'm going to prep my eyes using my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Light. And I'm buffing that in using a Zoeva Face Shape Brush. I set my lids with some powder, and now I'm going to go into the shade Silk Cream from the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe palette. I am buffing that very messily into the crease, but I'm extending it out past the tail of my brow and all the way into the inner corner next to my nose. Now I'm mixing the shades MFEO and Pooter on the same exact brush, and I am focusing this a little bit more on the outer half of my eye, really focusing it really deep in the crease, and then messily buffing it in towards the inner corner of my eye when there's a lot less product on the brush. On a slightly more tapered fluffy brush, I'm going to use the shade Mocha, which is a much deeper brown color, and I'm really trying to build up that outer corner while still keeping it soft and blended. And then I go back in with my previous fluffy brush that has no additional product on it, and I'm just blending everything out. So I'm doing a little bit of back and forth, back into Mocha, and then blending, back into Mocha, and then blending, and this will get me that seamless look that I'm going for. Next, I'm going into the shade Roxanne, which is a beautiful, warm, rusty brown color, and I am sticking this on the lid, and I'm blending up into the crease, and I'm using this sort of angle of my brush to give my eyes a nice like hazy effect so it blends really easily. Now I'm going to use the shade Jax, which is so beautiful. It is like a warm, rich, berry toned color. And I'm sticking that right in between Roxanne and Mocha. So it sort of has this little transition and it brings a little bit of a berry color to the eyes. And then I'm just going to buff that out again using my original fluffy brush. Then I'm going into the shade Chip, and I'm just going to put this on the outer V of my eye, keeping it really concentrated. And I can build this up later, but I just wanted to lay that color down now. And then I'm going to go back into Jax and just sort of build up that outer portion of the eye a little bit more and make sure I get that intensity that I'm going for. On a little flat brush, I'm going into the shade SBN, and I'm just sticking that on the inner little corner of my eye just to brighten this look up and give it a little bit of sparkle. Now I'm using a clean makeup wipe just to sharpen up the shape of the shadow. We're going to take a little break from the eyes for now and move on to the face. I'm using a little bit of Benefit Professional and focusing this mainly around my nose and on the center of my forehead. And then using some Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, I am just going to cover up my extremely pigmented blemishes or acne scars and then lightly go over that with a sponge just to blend it in a little bit, but it does not have to be perfect. I'm going to mix my primer in with my foundation. So I'm using the L'Oreal Visible Lift Foundation and mixing the BECCA Backlight Priming Filter in with it just to give it a really soft and luminous finish. So I'm just applying that with a flat top kabuki and blending it in all over the skin. And I'm also going to make sure that I really get into my hairline. For my concealer, I actually mixed a little bit of my Shape Tape concealer in with my foundation. I thought the Shape Tape was a little bit too light with me with this foundation. It's a little bit darker than my skin tone, so I sort of had to just moderate the color a little bit and create a custom shade, and this worked great. So I'm just focusing this under the eyes and then any other place that I want to highlight. So center of the nose, center of my forehead, Cupid's bow, and the chin. Now I'm using my Real Technique sponge and just blending everything in. You guys have seen me do this a million times, so enjoy the music. I'm just going to lightly bake my under eye area by using this RCMA No Color Powder on my sponge, pressing that into the under eye area, and then also I'm going to put it a little bit around my nose too and on my chin because that's where my foundation tends to break up the fastest. And now I'm going to use this IT Cosmetics Celebration Foundation in the shade Light Medium, and I am just patting this on my skin. I don't want to rub it around, I'm just adding a light layer of coverage. I'm using a clean little face brush here and making sure I get all of the bake brushed off of my skin so I can minimize the risk of getting any flashback. All right, next I'm going to use this Rimmel Natural Bronzer in the shade 022 Sun Bronze, I believe. And I'm really just trying to warm up the face. I'm not contouring, I'm just sort of putting this where the natural curves of my face go and trying to bring some life and shape back to my face without it looking too harsh. For my blush today, I'm going to use the BECCA Mineral Blush in the shade Amaretto, and I'm just going to very lightly tap this over my cheeks. I find that it blends so beautifully in with my bronzer. I love how soft and natural this looks. I'm going to use Prosecco Pop from BECCA and Jaclyn Hill, and I'm going to sort of give my face an all-over glow. I'm not really focusing this in one specific area. I just want my face to look really radiant and luminous. I'm going to finish off the eyes. So first I'm just buffing out the edges of my shadow using a previous brush with no additional product on it, just blending, making sure everything looks nice and soft. And then I'm going to use this Marc Jacobs black eyeliner, and I am coating my lash line like crazy. Like I am putting as much on there as absolutely possible. I want this to be super duper dark. And then I'm going to go into the shade Mocha, and I'm using a tiny little pencil brush from Zoeva, and I am smudging that into the lower lash line and really trying to meld the black eyeliner in with this beautiful warm brown color. Now I'm going back into Jack's and I'm focusing this on the outer third of my eye. I'm using a slightly bigger kind of fluffy pencil brush and I am sort of messily throwing it on there, blending it in with Mocha a little bit. And then I'm going to use the shade Buns and I am focusing this part on like the inner 2/3 of my eye and then making sure I blend it all the way out through the lower lash line. Next, I'm going into the shade Chip again and just sort of deepening up that outer crease on the upper lid and connecting it to the bottom. I just felt like I needed a little bit more depth there. Now I'm using the black from the palette, which is the shade Abyss, and I am using a tiny little brush and kind of using this as my eyeliner, smudging it as close as I can to the lashes and building up that color so it looks nice and rich. Next, I'm going to mix a little bit of SBN and Obsess just to intensify that inner corner. After looking at all of this, it was so dark. I really wanted it to be a little bit brighter. And then I'm just blending it in, making sure that there isn't like a harsh line between the metallic and the matte. We are going to speed through the brows here. I am using my L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer in the shade Brunette, and then I'm going to top it off with a little bit of Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. I do the same thing pretty much every time. I use the same products. It never fails me, and I love how the brows turn out every single time. These products work perfectly together. One is drugstore, one is not drugstore, but it works beautifully for me, so I keep with it. I'm using a couple coats of the Lancome Hypnose Doll Lashes Mascara. I'm doing about like 2 or 3 coats on top and then 1 coat on the bottom lashes. And I like this mascara. It's nothing like groundbreaking. I don't feel like it lengthens or volumizes my lashes particularly amazingly, but it's fine. It does the job. Next, I'm going into the shade Beam from Jaclyn and Morphe's palette, and I am just tapping this under the brows. Like, I'm putting the tiniest amount and it was way too much. Like, these shadows are so deceivingly bright. So you can see here I'm going in with a clean brush and blending that out. I lined my lips using the Huda Beauty Lip Contour Liner in the shade Trendsetter, and I totally did it all off camera on accident. And then I am using the Jouer Creme Brulee Lip Cream, and then I am topping that off with the Skinny Dip Lip Topper from Jouer as well. And at this point, I am wearing so much makeup, so I just decided to set my face using my MAC Fix Plus to smooth everything out. And that is the finished look, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. I will see you very, very soon in another video. Bye!